This is a really important development, and what happens here matters to people, matters strategically for our borough. So it's really disappointing that this isn't being heard at full council so that ward councillors are able to be involved in the discussion. The focus of this deputation is on process being taken and how people are or aren't being engaged, and which should be the interest to all councillors, as this is about how we work jointly planning and developing with residents. This project continues to require the level of scrutiny just due to the cost of the site, the opportunity it offers, the things that have been promised since 2022 that haven't happened, which you'll hear a bit more on later, and also because of the delays, resulting in Tesco now operating rent-free on the site. And this has all fostered distrust with residents, not helped by the lack of acknowledgement in the council narrative of the co-design and community work that's been going on for 5 years. So now you get a really valuable opportunity to ask questions of the great MOPS campaigners who've been working for over half a decade on this, and you have real expertise here this evening on how the site can be used and what residents really want. So I hope you use the opportunity to ask questions. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Heather. I'm here with my colleagues, Liz and Andy from Morning Lane People Space, MOPS. MOPS is a community group which has been for 5 years working to make sure that whatever is built on 55 Morning Lane meets the needs of local residents. We've done the only significant engagement to find out what people want. We've done it via surveys, public meetings, social media, thousands of conversations and tens of thousands of leaflets. We brought a deputation back in 2022 to full council. And we did that to say, you need to come clean about what happened with the developer Hackney Walk Limited, about that deal, because of the lack of trust, because of the secrecy, the rejected freedom of information requests, because of the fact that Hackney Walk Limited have a bad track record with the derelict and disastrous fashion hub. In response, Mayor Phil Glanville said that there would be openness and transparency going forward, and he said that there would be co-design between the council and the community. Unfortunately, that has not happened, and that is why 2 years later we're here again. So, for example, let's look at the appointment recently of the architects. Residents, all of us, we were represented by 3 members of the Hackney Central Community Panel. That panel is controlled by the council, it is top down, and it is unrepresentative. None of the TRAs in the area have a single voice on that panel. And we still don't know who are the 3 people who represented us, what they did in that process. It's completely secret, there's no accountability. We've asked you for your red lines, and all you've said is we need to get that £60 million back. That makes no sense unless you tell us the timescale for that. It's meaningless without telling us how much you've got already. For example, the payments from Hackney Walk, the payments from Tesco. Finally, we had a vision workshop about a week ago. That vision workshop asked people what they want. It established that people's top priority is cheap housing, cheap shopping, aka a big supermarket there and council homes. This is not surprising because we've done this work for years with a great evidence base. It would have saved a lot of time and shown respect and trust for local residents if you respected that grassroots bottom-up planning rather than trying to inadequately reinvent the wheel.
You've got a brilliant opportunity with this site to do very excellent civic engagement and co-design. There are 3 ways Hackney can do this: nurture honesty and transparency, help build mutual trust, and do shared decision-making and share power. Honesty and transparency. If you look at the meeting that we held in September, 70 people from Trelawney Estate in a room, council officers presenting, promises of a website, buzz in the room, and then radio silence for 2 months. What do we get then? A web page with a brief, inadequate summary of a process. How are you using your consultant, Climate Labs? Where are you using your community stakeholders? We are here and have energy and experience. This is a quick win for Hackney, combined with offline communication and social media to engage more people. Second point, mutual trust. You have an opportunity for building mutual trust in a key site right in the middle of Hackney by your council officers sharing information with us, sharing knowledge with the community. So financial viability is a huge area. Co-design viability with the community. Social impact assessment. How can we develop this? You could take any of these areas, one of them, and have a process where you could look to codify using the community expertise and supporting people to be involved in a process and not just assuming people can access a workshop over a couple of months on a Saturday morning. Why are you leaving in terms of shared decision making and sharing power? Why are you leaving the architects to talk to Tesco? Why not create a space using existing forums that include residents and tenants and groups like Tesco to have discussions to talk about what needs to be done? Why not communicate? Why not share? Why not explore shared decision making? Talk with us about decisions are going to be made and how. Why not do that kind of essential, basic civic engagement? It will be a cabinet decision about whether to sell the site. What a defeat if we do.
1 minute if you
Thank
want
you.
Liz to speak.
How will the community be involved in that decision? Should it be left to you rather than the residents and a full council? This is a prime site and a vital opportunity to shape a town centre with local residents. It demands co-design. People care deeply about this site. We need you to work at honesty and transparency, Hackney, building mutual trust, and finally, sharing some decision making. Thank you.
Okay, do anyone in Cabinet wish to ask any questions of MOPS? No? So I will respond to the statements that you've made and also summarise, I suppose, my engagement in the last two meetings. So came to Trelawney and engaged in the MOPS-led event, which I thought was an extremely friendly, well-chaired event with food laid on, which is always a help. And it was really a good exercise with flip charts to see all the proposals put forward from the community. One of the things I would query is you sort of saying about radio silence since then, because my understanding from that meeting was that the ask was to meet again before the end of the year, which was what we then undertook to do. So that's when we had the workshop organised in the first week of December that you referred to at the library. And that was the first opportunity for Climate Labs to come forward and set out their perception of co-design. Again, I felt that there was an opportunity there to set out the timeline. I think one of the key sort of things that you've asked whenever I've met with you is for acknowledgement of the work that MOPS has put in. And within the slide presentation that they produced, I felt that they did present a timeline. No? Because they did talk about when you first engaged with your community engagement and representation. Okay, well, that's something we can look at. I think for me, it's really important that this succeeds as a co-design process because we are going through so many tough challenges. If we don't have a good model for working with the community, then we're really up against it. And so to work with an expert group like Climate Labs does offer a really good chance to see how ideas can come into the room and be taken forward in terms of recommendations. There was also an attempt to be really transparent in terms of constraints. There was a slide setting out the constraints in terms of, as you've sort of described, making back the money that we put in. I can hear the questions that you've raised today about how we elaborate on that, and we'll take that away. The constraints in terms of the relationship with Tesco and their rights, I guess, in terms of, as a supermarket, what they can and cannot do. And other constraints that will be set out, and we can amend the website in order to make sure that's all fully covered. Members of the community panel, as I understood it, were involved in the procurement of the architects, Levitt Bernstein, and the engagement specialist Climate Labs was selected actually following a process in which I'd understood Morning Lane People's Space and council officers had agreed a list of external consultants who'd be approached by competitive procurement, and these were a group that you had put forward, is that right? Climate Labs? This was one that you had supported. Well, it's just a yes or no.
We were the people who put Climate Labs on the shortlist. In fact, the only two people who bid were the two people we put on the shortlist. There would not be a community consultant were it not for MOPS. There would actually not even have been a tender for a community consultant were it not for MOPS.
Okay, there's no need to. Yeah. So the end output will be an early stage design feasibility study, RIBA 1 stage, that will inform a cabinet decision in summer, autumn 2025 on whether to proceed with the redevelopment of the site at this point in time. If the decision is to proceed with the redevelopment, it's only then that detailed designs will be prepared and we'll be able to give an outline, timeline for development, including further key decisions that will be made. We've committed in our Hackney Central Town Centre strategy to bring accountability and co-production to the project, to build that sense of community ownership in the final form of 55 Morning Lane. We will continue in this vein. So I'll review the website and follow up with you with any further questions that you want to send to me on the back of this deputation. I thank you all for your time coming here tonight.
To say I'm so cross. I'm so cross that they couldn't be bothered to answer a single question of us. These are the people that actually brought in the fashion hub. What a fiasco. You'd have thought they'd work a bit harder this time, be a bit more enthusiastic on doing something that we really want for the community in Hackney. These are Labour. These are Labour people. They're meant to be caring for the working people of Hackney, the community of Hackney. I'm disgusted. Disgusted.
Well, I thought it was a really good presentation from MOPS, from Heather and Andy. It was very clear, it was very simple, and it set out the case for the fact that they hadn't done what they promised 2 years ago. And most of those people in there were there 2 years ago. There was no interest, there were no questions. And although the mayor showed that she had some interest, she didn't actually allow any debate, didn't allow you to answer any questions. So it was a farce, really.
I was really proud to support Morning Lane People Space's deputation to Cabinet this week, but I was incredibly disappointed that the Cabinet members didn't even have any questions for the experts who'd come along to present the deputation. This is a really important site, not just for the local people in the area, but for how Hackney does co-design, but also how we maximise council homes on council land. The fact that the Cabinet members didn't have any questions for the people who've been outside Tesco, engaging with residents for years, 5 years, the Morning Lane People Space campaigners have been there listening and championing for the people in the area. I'm really grateful for the continued work of the Morning Lane People Space campaigners. I will continue to support them, and let's see what difference we can make to this really essential site.
Everyone speaks very nice, and it's blessing and kindness, and we are so happy, and so we put everything in God's hand, and so we will hear goodness and blessing always. Yeah.